You know, for as long as humans have been around, we've shared this one incredible dream, to fly. It's a journey that takes us from ancient myths all the way to the tiny little gadgets we have today. So, let's get into it, this amazing story of how that dream finally took flight.
And really, it all boils down to this one simple, almost childlike question, right? You look up, you see a bird soaring, and you just wonder, why them and not us? That single question has been the spark for thousands of years of imagination, invention, and, well, a lot of very brave attempts to get off the ground.
Okay, so before we get into all the engines and the aerodynamics, let's rewind. Let's go all the way back to where this dream started, in legends, myths, and with the very first pioneers who were bold enough to even try.
Just think about how long people were waiting for this to happen. For centuries, flight wasn't science, it was just fantasy. Way back in ancient Greece, you had the story of Icarus, which was really more of a warning than anything else. Fast forward to the 9th century, and a man named Abbas ibn Firnas actually glides for a few moments. And through the Middle Ages, inventor after inventor tried their hand. But that dream just stayed out of reach.
But here's the thing you've got to remember. These weren't just failures. They were lessons. Every single attempt, from a mythical story about wax wings to a real-life glide, taught somebody something and pushed the next generation just a tiny bit closer to figuring it all out. All of that trial, and let's be honest, a lot of error, was building up to one single moment. A moment that would change literally everything. The instant that powered, controlled flight finally became a reality.
So, picture the scene. It's a windy, sandy beach in North Carolina. There are no big corporations here, no government funding. It's just two brothers, Orville and Wilbur Wright. They owned a bicycle shop, and they used what they knew about mechanics to build this fragile little machine out of wood, cloth, and a tiny engine.
12 seconds. That's it. Let that sink in. It's barely enough time to even process what was happening. For just 12 seconds, their plane, the Wright Flyer, lifted off the sand under its own power.
And it only traveled 36 meters. That's less than half a football field. But in that tiny distance, an idea that had been impossible for all of human history suddenly became real. After thousands of years of dreaming, humanity was finally actually airborne. So that 12-second flight, it was like lighting a fuse. What came next was an absolute explosion of innovation, and it was driven by two of the most powerful forces out there, conflict and our desire to connect with each other. Right away, aviation pretty much split down two different paths. On one hand, during World War I, planes went from being these flimsy little observation tools to actual weapons of war. But on the other hand, after the war, that same technology got a new purpose. The first airlines started flying mail, and then a few brave passengers, planting the seeds for the connected world we know today. And this era, the 20s and 30s, man, it got this incredible name, the Golden Age. It was a time of daredevil pilots and record-breaking flights. The absolute peak was in 1927 when Charles Lindbergh flew solo all the way from New York to Paris. It completely captured the world's imagination and proved that long-distance air travel was here to stay. As amazing as all that was, the next huge leap forward was already on the horizon. The invention of the jet engine was about to change the game all over again, making our world faster, louder, and a whole lot smaller. And look, we see that same pattern play out again. The jet engine first shows up as a weapon of war. The German Me-262 in World War II. Then, through the Cold War, supersonic fighters became the definition of military might. But pretty soon, all that raw power was harnessed for us. Jets like the Boeing 707 and, of course, the iconic 747 jumbo jet made flying something that millions of people could actually afford. And the effect this had on our world was just staggering. I mean, look at this. A trip from New York to London that used to take 5 long days on a boat could now be done in about 6 hours. The jet age didn't just make travel faster, it completely shrank our planet. But the story doesn't end with jets, not even close. The next 2 revolutions in flight took us in directions the Wright brothers probably couldn't have even dreamed of. First, straight up, and then without anyone in the cockpit at all. So aviation's next evolution solved 2 more huge problems. First, the whole you need a giant runway issue. That's where Igor Sikorsky's helicopter came in, giving us the freedom to fly straight up and down. And second, we started to ask, hey, do we even need a pilot in there at all? That led to the drone, which put an eye in the sky in pretty much everyone's hands. And this technology has just completely blown up, right? Drones aren't just for the military anymore. Now they're everywhere.
They're shooting incredible movie scenes, delivering life-saving medicine to remote villages, monitoring crops, and even helping find people in search and rescue missions. They've become this essential tool in almost every industry you can think of.
So when you just take a step back and look at the whole journey, it's kind of mind-blowing. We went from a myth about waxwings to a 12-second hop on a beach, to jumbo jets, and now to pilotless aircraft you can literally hold in your hand. The dream just keeps evolving. Which, of course, leaves us with that one big question. After all this, what comes next for humanity's oldest dream? Personal flying cars? Trips to other planets? The sky was never really the limit, was it? It was just the beginning. So where do you think we'll go from here?